The dimension that needs measuring on this is this corner between the neck and the shoulder, because that's where the cap needs to fit. And that's just about right. this kind of lid takes the least clay of all. Now I'm nervous. I might have started out with too little, but we'll make it work. That was so thin. You saw the wire. That's dangerously thin, but we'll see if we can get away with it. Okay, is this guy is still pretty much where it was when I threw it. This has a little extra thickness, but not terribly much. This kind of lid doesn't need a knob. As a matter of fact, no lid needs a knob if it's 5 inches in diameter or less, because you can just grab it with one hand. Now, sometimes a knob is an aesthetic decision, but for function, because I'm not making a snowman, I'm making a ginger jar, I say no knob. Now that's a pretty big scratch. So I'm going to use spit the magic substance. And I'm just choosing to leave those two angles on the side of the lid, even though right this moment there is no angle on the side of the jar, just because I'm kind of liking the contrast. But that's it. That's a decision you make on the fly at the moment. That is exactly where you'll grab it every single time. So that would be a good place for a little texture decoration, right at that edge. So there's that one. What I want to show you is a tool called a chuck. And I had it right here. This one looks like a nuclear power plant cooling tower. They come in different sizes, shapes, and proportions, but the idea here is that I'm going to rest the shoulders of this jar in that way, but upside down, and that will support the weight of the whole pot from a stronger place than just resting it on its rim. So my first, and I have some soft clay here, to protect the shoulders of the pot from this rough and hard bisqued edge, I'm going to put some fat, soft clay worms on the edge. I'm going to get as good an idea as I can of the thickness and distribution of extra clay on here, and then turn it upside down and rest it in its nest here. And my first task is to get the bottom to be level before I worry about having it centered at all. I need to fuss around until the bottom is level when it spins. Okay, that's pretty much, it's not centered, but it is pretty much level. So now I worry about centering. And that may be just about as good as I'm going to get it. So then I stick the chuck down to the wheelhead with more soft clay. And get to work trimming the bottom of the jar. I'm taking away some of the extra thickness at the bottom of the pot, and I'm leaving behind a raised foot ring. This makes the bottom finished, gives me a place to sign my name. It decreases the weight of the pot, and actually increases the pot's chances of survival in the kiln because it minimizes the square inches of actual contact between the pot and the kiln shelf. All those things are true. Giving the pot a little bit smaller foot than what it had before in terms of diameter, I think increases a kind of a elegance to the pot and gives it a little bit of a lift. It completes the form in a nice way. Oftentimes when you're making jars, the foot is an opportunity to echo something that's going on with the lid. So the lid and the foot are like framing the form in between, which reminds me, why don't I put an angled edge on the foot to echo the angled edge on the lid and be arty and intentional about everything. And now I'm just smoothing out the scratchy marks and burrs and stuff on the bottom, because that is where your pot will make contact with the world, including your grandma's piano. And we don't want to cause any more pain than we have to. There, it's not a complete ballerina, but it is a little bit more graceful than it was. And I'm going to use my signature stamp on the bottom. And now that can just sit and dry out till it's time to bisque.